evening or good afternoon, as the case may be, and welcome to Distribution Strategy Group's Best Practice Study 2025 State of AI in Distribution, sponsored by Endeavor and Infor. This is our third annual in the state of AI and distribution. And wow, we've seen a lot of changes in the last year, both as what's come out in our survey, but also what we've seen in our AI conferences. The mood has shifted palpably from one of fear to more one of excitement for so many of the people that are getting benefits with AI. We've got a big story to tell today based on the survey, but we're also going to look at some of the use cases that are available now to be applied to gain efficiencies, to gain cost advantage, to improve customer experience. There's a variety of benefits that come from applying some of the technology that's available today. I will welcome questions throughout the webcast today. There is a Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. I may decide to defer it to later. And then also, if you post anonymously, I'm probably unlikely to answer it. I may ask you to identify yourself. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome our first sponsor, Endeavor.ai. Sahitya, please.
Thanks, Jonathan. Appreciate it. Excited to be here, and happy to share a little bit about Endeavor AI. A little bit about what our focus is. I'm the founder and CEO, and as a customer-facing guy, someone who does sales, my two focuses are one, growing my install base, and two, making my existing customers really happy. And what we do is we use AI agents for this, and in the same way, distributors like yourself can benefit from AI agents that can help you make your existing customers really happy and grow your install base. Jonathan, next slide, please. And so we are seeing tremendous success in the distribution space. We work with Clark Dietrich. It's a $5 billion LBM distributor. And what they were dealing with before we came were massive projects around EDI and e-com and automation for their sales orders, right? The perfect use case for automation, typically sales orders, but it's been really hard to nail. And they do hundreds of thousands of sales orders every year. And before we came along, they were just manually processing them. We came in, took 3 weeks, automated every single customer format they had, and they had more than 1,500. And where they're at now is that not only have they fully automated this process, but they're actually able to take some of those CSRs and inside sales reps and enable them to do higher value tasks like field sales, talk to their customers, manage churn. And so, Jonathan, next slide, please. What we'd like to offer to anyone on this call today is a free 2 months of order processing with AI agents. Try it out, 0 risk. Just email info@endeavor.ai or go to endeavor.ai to try it out. We got 9 spots left. Would love to see you try it.
Thank you so much, Sahitya. We'll be talking a little bit more about the kind of technology that you are deploying in the use cases from today. So thank you. I'd like to welcome Jared Hellenic from Infor. Jared, take it away.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jared Hellenic. I'm the Technology Innovation Product Specialist here at Infor. So I specifically support our process automation, but also more importantly, our predictive and prescriptive insights leveraging machine learning. So to make machine learning happen, there's a couple key components that you're going to need. You're going to need the right people, data scientists, you're going to need a platform, you're going to need the models, and that's what the Infor Augmented Intelligence Service is all about. That we're packaging our pre-canned industry-specific data science team that specifically work with distributors and manufacturers, but we've really been focusing in on how we can help manufacturers and distributors make better decisions on how they should be pricing, how much inventory they should have on hand, and then also what their forecast should look like. So we've been able to do this quite successfully with a variety of different industries. As you see at the bottom, we have customer references and KPIs we've been able to achieve by leveraging this service. And as Infor is predominantly known as an industry-specific ERP, the really nice thing about this offering is that we can leverage non-Infor ERP data to leverage it to make better decisions. So if you're using Epicor, Oracle, Microsoft, etc., you can leverage this service still to achieve some of these key results. Next slide, please. So the way that we'd like to go about this process is, since we're bringing so much of the components, the one last key component we really don't know about is your data. The key thing about knowing what data you have is that if we don't feel comfortable with the data that's going in. It's very similar where if it's garbage going in, it may be garbage coming out, which is why we do a business and data assessment. This is a pro bono engagement where you actually work with our data scientist team and we evaluate your data to see if we can help you make better decisions by leveraging your existing data set. And some of the key use cases specifically for distributors that we see more often than not that are most impactful, there are things like improving your customer experience, driving operational efficiency, reducing asset costs, but really the last two, predicting future demand and optimizing pricing, are probably the top two I see more often than not. And since we have these pre-canned models and these pre-canned processes, we're able to see time to value within anywhere from 90 to about 120 days, depending on complexity. But it all starts with the business and data assessment to make sure that we are actually a good fit and a good partner. We can actually show you using your data, we can get these type of results. So if you want to go to the next slide, if you are interested in learning more about what's involved in a business and data assessment, engaging with our data scientist team to help you with optimize your pricing or inventory levels, feel free to reach out to myself. More than happy to work with you and really looking forward to the rest of this session today. Thank you for the opportunity, Jonathan, and I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you, Jared. That's a very impressive suite of functionality you have there. So one last sponsor, I forgot, last but not least, Distribution Strategy Group has an offering that will help you understand and grow wallet share with existing customers. Here's the idea. Imagine if you really could get a good handle on what your customers were spending in product categories that you sell. In this example here, we're showing the actual spend for a customer across 8 categories. Our model from DemandRx says this customer can be spending almost $100,000 more, $99,000 more, and there are large gaps in the first 3 product categories. Using this gap analysis, we can apply this to existing customers, to prospects. We can measure market share. We can define an ideal customer profile to go get better prospects. We've got 48 million companies in our database. Very, very powerful. We've had a number of deployments of this recently. So if you'd like to take a closer look at DemandRx, please reach out to me and we'd be delighted to have a discussion with you. Now, as it pertains to the state of 2025 AI and distribution, I'm going to share some survey results. And I'll tell you, by the way, as there is in any survey, there is a bias in the respondents. We had a couple hundred respondents, but there is a bias of those who are interested in AI. So we're going to be hearing from people who are slightly more biased towards AI in this survey than we might otherwise. So we asked questions about importance, about adoption, about generative AI or LLMs, also known as Gen AI. And the folks who took the survey, about a third were small, less than 100 million. About 40% were medium, 15% were large, and then some people didn't want to share. It was a mixture of industrial and construction significantly, but then also electronics, food, medical, Janssen. And a lot of the respondents were executive management, followed by sales and marketing. So when we asked what are primarily senior leaders in companies, how do you think about the importance of AI over the next 3 years? Overwhelmingly, distributors consider AI important either for competitive edge or in specific areas of the business, specific functions. And we'll be looking at some of that through the course of the presentation today. About an eighth consider it vital to their business. Another eighth consider it as necessary to remain at parity. So to keep up with the Joneses, we have to deploy AI. Notably, only 3% of the respondents say this will not be important to our business over the next 3 years. So the respondents in this survey are all in on AI. When we start to look at that importance of AI by the business function, we notice that the areas that are most important, that register as very important or important, website, digital marketing, IT, customer service, sales, and cybersecurity. Those generated a lot of responses about the importance of those in the near term. We're going to see that the adoption, the implementation of solutions it mirrors this. Now, this set of business functions is basically the same set of business functions that were most important last year. The order has shifted between them. But more importantly, if we look at the growth in regular use and deployment, sales has gone from 22 to 36%, website digital 28 to 45, marketing 22 to 48, meaning these people are either using it or they're in the process of deploying it. So within this set of distributors, there's quite a bit of enthusiasm, and that enthusiasm is manifesting in things that they're actually doing over the next few years. We asked distributors how they think AI, Gen AI in particular, will deliver value to them. And there was a very strong response related to efficiency. It technically says efficiency, almost half said it will increase efficiency, but another 13% said it's going to save time, another 6% said it's going to reduce costs. So overall, if we look at the efficiency side of the spectrum, 66% believe that the value it's going to deliver is on the side of efficiency. When we look at the effectiveness, we included CSAT, we included driving innovation and improving quality. That was about 23%. I think it's important to say that it's not efficiency or effectiveness, it's efficiency and effectiveness. And the people who are looking at this are seeing significant efficiencies that they're going to gain. We're building out a story of what AI is going to look like for distribution in 2030. And that efficiency angle is going to be significant in being able to do the more with the same resource or more even with less resource. User comments or respondent comments also emphasized efficiency as where they saw the benefits of AI. When it comes to applying efforts to apply AI within the company, we looked at a number of different things that people could be doing, including projects that they might be doing, going to AI events, conducting reviews of technology assessments, if you will, understanding what the impact of AI is on security, formulating a detailed AI strategy. The really bigger ones were identifying projects, and that means primarily implementing a software solution of some kind, or perhaps Gen AI. Going to AI events, I'll put in a plug for our 2025 Distribution AI Conference in Chicago. Looking at the technologies that are out there, and then so we saw a significant bump in those from 2023 to 2024, those first three. So more emphasis that people are starting to do things with AI, not just talk about it. In terms of the progress deploying AI by function, marketing is at 48% of either regularly in use or in the process of deploying now. So that means that within a few calendar months, all of these blue will switch to green. IT, 17% have already deployed something. Another 19% are in deployment right now. Website, if we add the two, it's at 45%. Sales, 36%. Customer service, 33%. And then cybersecurity, 25%. So again, things are getting going. I would argue that for much of what we're talking about, if we use the technology adoption lifecycle terminology or nomenclature. So if we look at it now by where it's going, I think we're very much in the early adopter phase or innovator phase. But you can see that the efforts are ramping up and things are changing quickly. Now, not all of AI is generative AI or large language models, but there's been also a proliferation. Now, these are some of the most prominent brands that are supporting businesses with Gen AI. But there's a list of literally dozens or even hundreds of companies that are being funded by venture capitalists to cash in on this space. If we roll the clock back about 2 years ago, you probably mostly had heard of ChatGPT, maybe Gemini, or whatever the other name for the Google service was at the time. but now there are more prominent ones that are gaining a lot of traction. As it pertains to Gen AI, large language models and frequency of use, the respondents in our survey are overwhelmingly using ChatGPT. There were some others that were specified, kind of a laundry list. 11% aren't doing anything. 5% are using Gemini, 3% Copilot, and 1% Claude. Frequency of use, almost 70, a little bit over 70% are using it daily to weekly. So I think we'll see that frequency of use continue to pick up over time. In summary, when we look at how distributors are using Gen AI, a lot of people are doing it to support writing and content creation. And this could include sales, emails, could include proposals, data analysis and summarization. There's all kinds of ways to just share data with this thing. And these Gen AI systems will figure out what you're trying to do. You tell them what you want, and they can do amazing analyses, some that would be very complex, might otherwise require programming. Customer service and support. So it's starting to make its way into chatbot things. We're still early in that. I think we'll see that manifest over the next several years. Here's a really big one, coding and technical tasks. So this would be in the realm of IT. I think that Claude AI was rated as the 131st best programmer in the world. So this is the Claude.ai competing with humans primarily, kind of like the chess programs competing with Magnus Carlsen or Gary Kasparov. So already in a very, very short period of time, that coding function is moving towards machine. Admin and HR functions, research and strategy, and then people are just seeing a lot of time saving and efficiency. When we talk about distribution AI, we really want to make sure that the Gen AI stuff is included, but also other technologies that support other use cases. AI is not all Gen AI, by the way. There is plenty of AI around that is not Gen AI. For example, optimization problems where you have a lot of ways to, for example, go to route a truck over 10 different stops. There's literally 3,600,000 possibilities. It's hard for a human to sort through all of that, but machines can do that pretty well. So that type of an optimization problem would be an example of AI that's not Gen AI. So I want to talk about just a handful of use cases that are pretty much in deployment today. There's many others we could talk about. By the way, you'll hear about them at the AI conference, but just to give a feel for some of the benefits that people are getting with AI. So in the realm of fulfillment, there's a number of different fulfillment applications, supplier lead time, inventory management, that route optimization thing that I mentioned, load optimization, autonomous vehicles. All of these are benefiting from AI. There are significant applications available today to improve demand forecasting, to get better supplier lead time, to do route optimization. These are available from companies today. The warehouse drones are another one that I want to show here in just a moment. Autonomous vehicles are a little further out as we look at this 5-year time frame of what AI is going to be like for distributors in 2030. We think a lot of the autonomous vehicles, whether they're land or air, are more likely a little further out in time. Here's an example of a supplier lead time problem that is really material. If you're managing your supply chain, you've no doubt experienced the phenomena of where the goods received versus the expected date of delivery varied. And this has adverse effects on both the working capital and service levels. There are AI ML machine learning techniques that can reduce the error on this estimate of when things are going to be received by 30 to 60%. So there's this propensity to actually reduce working capital. Typical numbers are in the 10% range, and actually increase fill rate or service levels. So this is a very, very high value application. Again, there are several different companies that are doing this today. I wanted to show another example of an application that's very interesting. I'm going to go to a video here to show this. This is warehouse drones, where it comes to counting inventory, and that is a very labor-intensive and time-intensive task. So here we
Using drones is a new technology within our warehouses. The counting of stock is very important because it supports our productivity, but it supports also the supply chains of our customers and the predictability of the deliveries. Counting stock and having the right stock levels is very important.
Full autonomous operation, and that's really the fantastic thing is the drones are flying. Let's say they're controlled by the system. They know exactly to each centimeter where they're located to. So it's also that we don't have to read barcodes and the position of a rack, but of course the drone knows where it is, and then by scanning the barcodes or taking the picture, we can compare that with the information we have in our systems.
So that's a challenge for a lot of distributors. I mean, there's a real cost involved in counting inventory, and this application is providing significant relief for companies that have to count inventory. I'm going to show another application, which is for palletizing and packing, and also very powerful in terms of the impact on the business. As you start to think about what your warehouse is going to look like over the next several years, some version of these technologies is likely to make its way into your warehouse. A comment I would make about the technology as it stands today is that it's not really ready for a scenario where you've got broken boxes, where you've got open boxes. This is palletizing. If you notice the inventory counting, it was very clean shelves that it was surveying. But over the next several years, we fully expect it to be able to handle the more complex scenario of diverse inventory, broken boxes, et cetera. So open boxes. The next area that I think is really worth looking at, because there's a huge cost which is related to invoicing and payment. And I'll talk about that for just a moment here. The invoicing problem is that a lot of it is still done on paper, and there's a time for a distributor, there's a cost to process an invoice, which could be north of $10 per invoice. The turnaround time is 10 plus days often. And then the amount of exception handling is unacceptable that results in this results from errors and rework. It results in lower productivity and time delays. So one of the really big benefits of automated invoicing is there's a significant reduction in overall invoice processing costs, because that problem of reconciliation, here's an invoice, well, what order did that go with? Right now, if you're a distributor of 100 million, there's probably 2 or 3 people whose full-time job is spent doing that reconciliation process. So you're going to be able to reduce the cost significantly. You'll be able to turn around things much more quickly, fewer errors, which is going to make happier customers. And then you also have a better visibility into the transaction status. So a lot of people get focused about the reduction in day sales outstanding, but I think an equally important benefit is the freeing up your personnel to do higher level functions not spent on invoice reconciliation. When we think about cross-sell, it's been the holy grail in distribution for a long time. And when I say cross-sell, I mean people buying additional items, not just selling a bigger thing. That would be an upsell, but customers who bought A also bought B. We experience cross-sell when we use Netflix, when we use Amazon, when we use any number of consumer things. One of the things that's been difficult in distribution is getting a good model of cross-sell that can be effectively used through the web or through a rep, whether it's an outside rep or an inside sales rep. And there are now technologies for cross-selling complementary items that are very, very powerful, that are generating 5, 6, 7, sometimes even 8% sales lift when fully deployed across the organization. And what the AI picks up that other approaches don't pick up is it picks up nonlinearity in the purchase patterns. It picks up seasonality, potential geography, the industry segment of the customer, how large the customer is. And then it's also going to understand or figure out the relationships between products. So this AI-based cross-selling is going to get you to a point where your average rep can now perform more like your best rep in terms of how well they do cross-selling themselves. The specific benefits are increased lines per order, increased average order value as a result of increased lines, and then overall order profitability. For the customer, there's a feeling of convenience and there's a better personal experience. It's actually a benefit to the customer as well as growing your revenue and profitability. In a related vein, particularly if you're in a flow-oriented business, industrial MRO, a lot of Jansan, parts of construction, other industries, is the ability to predict reorders. And when we look at distributors who deploy both the cross-sell and predicting reorders, sometimes the predicting reorders actually outperforms the cross-sell. So it could be as much as a simple thing as on the web, you are due to reorder this Gordon Paper Company recycled craft paper or the Purell hand wipe stuff. That's the way it could show up, or it could manifest through a customer-facing rep, either inside rep or outside rep, mentioning that it's time to reorder something. So this due to reorder phenomenon is very powerful and can provide significant benefit. First of all, it's more accurate in terms of when something needs to be reordered. Again, the AI is going to pick up the patterns of ordering. If you're a big customer, in a certain sector, you might have one pattern of reorder. If you're a smaller customer, you might purchase less frequently. So it's going to pick up these patterns in it. It's going to be easier for representatives to add value. And in fact, customer service reps can now effectively be selling more. We don't often associate customer service reps with selling, but you can actually attribute additional revenue to customer service reps. It can be used in e-commerce, and then the bottom line is there's more revenue. Okay, Sahitya talked about what Endeavor is doing with quote and order automation. And this is one of those applications that has immediate applicability for a wide range of distributors and the distributors' customers. You know from watching your customer service reps that they spend a lot of time entering orders that come in via different media. It could be email, it could be in the body of the email, it could be a PDF, it might be through voice, it might be handwritten, it might be text. All of these ways that orders come in and that quote requests come in can be laborious and tedious, as well as error-prone and slow. The technology that's emerging, and Endeavor is one of the companies leading in this area, is that it can literally take north of 90% of the orders that come in via email, or something that looks like an order, or something that looks like a quote request, north of 90%, some cases north of 95, even 97%, and handle those without human intervention. So let's see an example here. Here's an example where there's a call being done and the recorded message. Thank you for calling. Please listen carefully as your menu options have changed. Please note that your call may be recorded for quality assurance. So now we've got an agent talking to somebody named Sarah. I'm sorry, the agent is Sarah. The caller is Roger from Glandorf Lumber. And Roger is describing what he would like to order. I need 18 pieces of 16 feet long truss core parts. I need another that are 6 pieces that are 20 feet long. And then it actually generates the quote based on the call, based on the actually either listening to the call or the call transcription. It generates that quote. Similarly, this generation of quotes could come in through email, where it's looking at the body of the email and essentially this quote request came in through email. It's able to populate the quote. And one of the key things that's about this newer technology is it can disambiguate when you have something complex. For example, somebody says, I want a big can of PVC glue. Well, that's good, but it doesn't mention either a brand or a SKU in there. That big can of PVC glue request needs to be disambiguated. Suffice it to say that the technologies that are doing these automated quotes can resolve that big can of PVC glue to, for example, a 3M product that's providing that adhesive function. On the order automation side, here's an example of a purchase order, bit of a squint contest here, but this is a typical format of what comes in. And this then gets converted into specific items that are going to be processed in the order. The thing that's new about this order automation technology today is that it's not just for a small set of large customers who are not on EDI or punch-out. It can be applied to 100% of your customers for both the order and the quote automation. One of the things that's powerful about the Endeavor and similar solutions today is that it can take multimodal input. I showed you that voice example. It can take text, it can take handwritten. And really what it's doing is it's figuring out the intent. It's relying on information from your PIM, from transaction data, from pricing intelligence, availability intelligence, even geointelligence to figure out what should be in the quote from the request. The benefits of AI-based quote automation, we're hearing easily 25 to 40%, could be as high as 70% productivity gain, which is going to free up inside sales reps, customer service reps to go do higher level functions. Conversely, or alternatively, you could do more with the same as you grow over the next number of years. The reduction in errors is also significant. And then there are some businesses where earliest quote or first quote has a much higher likelihood of winning as a quote that comes back in 4 hours or 24 hours. As much benefit as there is in the efficiency, productivity gain, reduction in errors, for certain industry sectors, the increased win rate can actually dwarf the win rate of can dwarf the contribution, the benefit of the productivity gain and reduction in errors. So I think as we step back, here's really what we're seeing in AI for distributors. They are starting to use Gen AI in very serious ways. We hear about more exotic and more significant uses of Gen AI every time we talk to somebody. I remember at our last AI conference, somebody mentioned they had taken a photo of the contents of their fridge and asked the Gen AI system to recommend a menu and recipes, and it did that. So we're just starting to hear about more and more radically diverse and innovative uses of Gen AI. At the same time, it is equally important to be focused on the AI-based solutions. You should be looking to your tech suppliers, your Infors of the world, your ERP vendors, your CRM vendors, your supply chain management vendors, all of your tech companies that are supporting you, that are part of your tech stack, are innovating based on AI. And you should be looking to them, but even more than looking to them, you should be pushing them. When we look at how this is going to play out over a several-year time frame, there have been various doom and gloom scenarios about how AI is going to cut jobs. And yeah, it is going to probably cut jobs. So a lot of what's going to happen for distributors is there will be a competitive advantage as a result of the efficiencies gained. If you're able to operate your business 30% more volume on the same resources you have, same staff, that's a big competitive advantage. And the distributors who are applying AI now are starting to gain those advantages, and they will grow through the years. When we look at the long-term impact, in addition to the efficiency, there will be an improvement in operational excellence. There will be a better customer experience that's delivered. The little things like reduction in errors, whether it's in the warehouse, whether it's in billing, whether it's in reconciliation, whether it's in the quote, all of these things that are increasing accuracy and precision are going to create a better customer experience. Some of the more far-reaching pieces of an intelligent bot that you talk to, just like you talk to a human, that's within this 5-year time frame. And we're going to see that. And when it comes on, it's going to come on quickly. Some distributors are starting to experiment with things like intelligent bots, but they are just that. They're experiments for the time being. But we know that that's going to evolve very rapidly, and that will result in further displacement of headcount once that gets going. Another piece that we see as a little bit longer term is the warehouse automation, the really exotic things in the warehouse with some of the robotic stuff that I showed on the videos. Now, there is definitely robotic things happening in the warehouse today, but we really believe, as a result of labor shortages and technology advance, that within 5 years, the warehouse is going to look radically different than it does today for many distributors. At the end of the day, distributors will have the capacity to do more with the same resource or less resource or headcount. And so think about it. If you have 30% fewer employees in 5 years or 40%, whatever the number ends up being, you're in a position to give better pricing, to be more competitive on pricing, and still be more profitable in the long run because of what you're doing with AI. In any of these best practice series, we always conclude with what you need to be doing. And I think it's really clear from what we're seeing in these innovator early adopter respondents that the train is getting going. And the companies that are in this position who are able to do more with the same or less over the next several years, and we'll see that play out over a several-year time frame. Companies who are in a position to do that are going to really be able to deliver radically better service, lower pricing. So I think that concludes our presentation for Distribution State of AI for 2025. I wanted to share with you a upcoming webinar on analytics that drive excellence, sponsored by Epicor, featuring the director at Epicor, Greg Hartunian. And we wish you a wonderful day and rest of the week. Thank you. Oh, I've got some questions here. Let's see. Okay, so Paula had asked at what point do these types of solutions, what type of volume do these solutions become financially possible? We can definitely see benefits for distributors north of 10 million, north of 25 million, depending on the package that is being used. So that's definitely something that can be done. There was a question about what is Gen AI. It's also known as generative AI. And when we hear terms like large language models, ChatGPT, Gemini, that's what's known as generative AI. It has a creative flavor to it. We will be sending the link to this webinar, and you will also receive the white paper from this presentation, which will come soon. And let's see, I think that's all we have for questions. So thank you for your time.